All righty, here we are. We're back again. This beautiful Wednesday afternoon, barely afternoon, and we're here with another Limitless Mindset episode. Today we're going to be talking about 5 steps to manifesting your goals, and we're talking about step 3 today, right? Step 3 is acting as if it were already reality today, which is a super powerful concept. But before we dive in there, I'm going to introduce a couple really special guests we got on today, Mr. John Bodnar and Mr. Juan Murillo, aka J Manuel, today on the Zooms. But before we do, if you're new here, my name is Logan Manzanares. I'm a business owner. I'm a fitness professional, transformed well over 2,000 people's lives through this little thing we call health and fitness. A real estate investor, a husband, a father, and one of the most grateful people on this planet. And like I said, I'm excited about this episode today, and I got a couple really awesome guys on here as well to dive deep on this acting as if it were reality today, which is a super powerful concept. I'm super excited to get into it, super excited to share it with you. So without further ado, John, you mind introducing yourself to all the cool, welcoming people out there?
By all means. So my name is John Bodnar, and I'm a coach at BSB, Wealthy Body Coaching. And my purpose in life is to show people, or teach people rather, how to become the best versions of themselves by means of unlocking the personal power to do so. So uncovering limiting beliefs and giving people my belief that they can succeed at what they want to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. John is a stud for show. Juan, tell us about who you are, my friend.
Yeah, my name is Juan. I'm also a wealthy body coach, and health fitness set me free, and taking responsibility for where I'm at today has led me to live a life I never thought possible. So it's my passion to bring that to other people, help them be free of whatever's holding them back, and live their best life.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. We are here to serve. So let's go ahead and serve up what step 3 is in the 5 steps of manifesting anything you want in your life. And that is to believe and act as if your goal was already reality today. This is super powerful. It's super cool. So let's go and let's dive in. So what is this? It might sound foo-foo if you've never done any visualization before, if you don't actually know what your goals are, if you never thought about your goals, if your goals aren't written down, this might sound crazy. But you're the crazy one because you don't have the freaking goals written down. You know what you want. You're the crazy one. No, okay. But let's dive into how do we actually make this happen? Like, how do you get what you want today, right? Some people are always waiting. They're waiting for them to get these feelings of wealth, of health, of happiness, of confidence. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can get that today, like right now, right? And we're going to show you exactly how to do that, okay? And so you must live as if your breakthrough is already reality, has already happened. Feel it, use your imagination, and visualize. So one of the most powerful things you can do is actually visualize yourself at your goal, right? And so we're talking about health and wellness in this example. So like if you actually visualize yourself being 30 pounds down, 50 pounds down, visualizing yourself looking in the mirror and seeing yourself, what do you look like? And then like, what are some of the things you're doing? What are you wearing, right? What are the feelings that you feel when you see yourself, right? And you start to see these things, believe these things, and you feel them. All of a sudden, it becomes real, right? And let me tell you this. Here's the coolest part: is that like your imagination. Like it's funny because like as kids, we get complimented a lot for using our imaginations. Like I have kids. You guys have all been kids and probably have seen other kids. All of a sudden, when kids are like out there like playing make believe, you're like, man, that kid's awesome. He's got an amazing imagination. That's really cool. But as an adult, if you start to imagine yourself doing crazy things, you're like, you're freaking crazy, right? But like ultimately, like if you can take that imagination and use it to manifest your goals in your mind, it's super powerful to make you actually believe that you can actually achieve them. So with that being said, John, give me your thoughts on this idea of acting as if your goal were already a reality through visualization.
By all means. And this is essentially a more well-defined version of fake it until you make it, which a lot of people seem to like that idea. Like, oh, for confidence is a great example. If you want to be confident, like pretend you're confident, and that works. And eventually it becomes a part of how you actually act by default. Now, when you put visualization into the mix, something that's really powerful, I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, is your brain doesn't actually know the difference between an actual memory and a visualization. Like, how would it actually, besides your consciousness saying like, oh, this one's real, this one isn't, how would your subconscious actually determine that? So by seeing those visualizations of you at your goal, it makes you that much more likely to act in that way. And if you act as though you've already reached your goal, well, how much more likely are you to get to your goal? perfect example is, okay, you got 30 pounds to lose. Like, do you want to eat, train, and think like the person that you are now? Or do you want to eat, train, and think like the person who has already lost 30 pounds? And you have that choice to do that today.
Yeah. Inspire. Juan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like this. I like this for two different reasons. One being a strategic reason, like you're not going to know how to get to where you're going unless you know where you're going. So really visualizing what you want, being as specific as you can. That way you can really narrow down how you're going to get there. So starting with the end in mind, figure out exactly what you want. That way you can work yourself backwards and figure out how you need to act to be there. What kind of decisions are going to get you there? What type of people know the things that you need to know that are going to help you to get there? And so without knowing exactly what you want and being specific with what you want, you're going to be left with tons of different roads to take, but by narrowing down what you want, you're going to get a more direct path. But as far as what I really like about visualization is the emotional aspect. When you go into that visualization of envisioning what you want, feeling the emotions, just really being in that moment, imagining yourself with as much as vividly as you can. It allows you on the days that it requires putting in the work to get to your goal. So whether that's getting to the gym, following your nutrition plan, doing those things, it's a friendly reminder of like what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you get to experience that every single day. And even though maybe you're not there physically yet, you still get the opportunity to experience that. And that's kind of that driver for me. A lot of times that is what gets me through on the days that I don't feel like doing the things that I need to do. I know what I want and I know how I'm going to feel when I get there. And I get to feel that feeling every single day. So super powerful. Definitely has been what has got me through on plenty of occasions.
And which I think is super powerful is like, some people are waiting. They're waiting to feel those feelings of confidence, of happiness, of joy. It's like, those are the things you can feel today. And in fact, you need to feel those things today, because if you're always waiting, like, what are you waiting for? Like, and so this is where weighing a certain number is never going to make you happy. Looking a certain way in the mirror is never going to make you happy, right? And so you probably have heard this before, but like, you can't wait till you're in shape to be happy with yourself. You can't wait till you're 30 pounds down to start loving yourself. Like, it has to start today. And like, the cool part about that is like, it's a choice. It's a choice today to like experience. And this is where the visualization comes in, is you actually you can learn how to love yourself. You can learn how to feel those feelings through this visualization of seeing yourself in this process, but you can actually be happy today, right? And you can be that fit person today, right? It starts with you seeing it and you believing it and you feeling it right now. And then at that point, all of a sudden it helps you make your decisions throughout your day. When all of a sudden you have decisions that you might not see the right way, all of a sudden you start to identify as this fit person that you've seen in your head. You start to see yourself being that person. Like, okay, like what does fit Juan do? What does fit John do? And all of a sudden the decision is like, oh, it's like, it almost feels like it magically appears. But it's because like you visualize where you want to go, that all of a sudden you're like, your subconscious is strong, your intuition is very strong, that you actually know the right answer. You already have the right answer inside you, right? So when you're able to lean on that and trust in that, it allows you to make this right decision. And the clearer you can get on your goals and what you want, the easier it is for you to make the decisions that it's going to take you to get there. And so I think we should out there is super powerful. Is just like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till you are down 30 pounds. You have to wait till you are, 5% body fat in order to be happy. Like you can visualize that, you can feel that today. Those emotions are so strong, because when you feel those emotions, it becomes real. And that feeling of realness is what allows you to continue to move forward, even on tough days, even on days where it seems like everybody's against you or like life is chaotic. It allows you to keep pushing forward because you're clear on where you're going. Yeah, and so this next slide very much emphasizes what we just talked about, but like, you create emotions through visualization that really drive your behavior. Spend as much time in your manifest in your mind as you do in your reality. Either way, your mind thinks it's real. And so, John, you touched on this a little bit about your mind doesn't really know the difference. So kind of explain to me what you mean by that.
Yeah, so when it comes to an experience, we'll say you have this memory of, I don't know, some kid threw a ball at your face and it hurt real bad. When you're 5 years old or whatever. Like that's a memory that you have. It's something that you remember. You know what that sensation is like. Now, if you were to sit down and visualize that happening now, or some other injury happening that maybe you haven't experienced before, maybe shouldn't be using an injury as the example, but it's a good way to realize like, okay, if I want to sit here and think about what it would feel like for someone to, poke my hand really hard, like you can imagine that and you can feel that. Therefore, your brain thinks it knows exactly what that's going to feel like. And therefore, you might as well have already experienced it. And so if we're turning this into saying like, okay, I'm visualizing myself 30 pounds down, or something that I do a lot is visualizing my highest self doing something, then it's so much easier to make that decision because it's not unknown anymore. You don't have that fear of like, what is this going to be like? How do I actually do it? Because when you see it, it's real, even if it's not concretely real. And again, you can use those emotions to actually make a decision. And that's really what this comes down to, is your decision-making ability and your brain's willingness and your consciousness's willingness to make a choice that you know is going to benefit you.
Yeah. I think a lot about it, like watching movies, like all you guys in here have watched movies before, right? Or maybe are frequent watchers of movies. And so like when you watch movies, do you guys sometimes get emotions and feelings when you watch that movie? Like, is that the point of a movie?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And is that stuff actually real?
Nope. It's all scripted. It's all effects.
Right. But we still feel those feelings. And honestly, like some of the stories give us belief to take action. Right. And ultimately, like that's what we are able to do. We're able to like write our own stories up here and like play that out in our head, and we get those same benefits, those same feelings, except for instead of the movie we're watching being 2 hours long, being directed by Spike Lee, it gets to be 20 minutes long or 10 minutes long, and be directed by you, and you get to be the control of all the characters, right, and all the things that happen. And so on. Tell me a little bit about like a time where you have seen like one of these manifestations come to fruition in your life.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to go in two different directions, but I'll stick with one of my fitness goals. I had mentioned it, I think, in the last episode too. Is I had this idea that I was gonna do a bodybuilding show, and so I was obsessed, and so like I think that's another thing too, is like focusing your attention on where you want to go. It doesn't have to be just visualization as far as like sitting down in the morning and visualizing, although that is something that I do. But I was also spending a lot of my day focusing on how I wanted to look, what I wanted to happen, how I was going to feel when it happened, how I was going to feel when I got on stage, or how I was going to feel when I got that lean. Like it wasn't just like this. I think when people think of visualization, maybe they think that it's just like sitting in the morning, closing your eyes and playing that visualization in front of your mind there, which is just something else that I do. But it doesn't just stop there too. I think that's kind of how it kickstarts the rest of the day. It sets my attention on what I want, and then the rest of the day it's easier for me to pay attention to things that are going to stand out and get me closer to that goal. And so I guess a specific time, like I said, was last year when I was trying to get super lean, trying to get on stage, and I accomplished that goal. But my days were consumed with like bodybuilding. I mean, reading, but it all started in the morning. The morning is when I went to the gym. The morning is when I took my check-in photos. So it all started right there in the morning, thinking about what I wanted, where I'm at today, but also where I'm going to be. And so it was super powerful. And I think that there's a lot of power in starting your day with your vision, and then it allows the rest of the day to kind of reveal different things that are going to help you get there.
I think it's a good point. Like obviously a piece that is actually sitting visualizing, but then it's also looking like when you're awake and you're in the real world, whether it's at work, whether it's at the gym, whether it's just your day-to-day life, that you're looking for evidence of your goal becoming a reality. It's looking for the positives, like, oh yeah, like it's basically just finding excuses to believe that your dreams are true or are coming true, right? Either way. I think that's really important, because like what you said, I think you said it like flat out, but like what we focus on grows. And so we can always find evidence of that we suck and that it's not going to come true and that we're not good enough. That's what most people do. Or we can find evidence that, I can do this. I see where I can make this happen. I see where I am making it happen. Like I believe it, I see it, and it's going to happen. Like it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, right? So, Yeah, and this is a big important piece too. Is like celebrate every little bit of progress, right? Every step, every pound lost, every dollar earned, every relationship created, like everything. Celebrate it, no matter how big. You lost a pound, awesome. Let's go, right? Let's go. Hey, you made another dollar this month. Let's go. That's awesome. Okay. You got a new relationship, right? Well, that means like you got a new business partner. You got a new like someone came into your life, or maybe you reconnected with somebody, right? Like every one of those things is an asset, and the more you celebrate those, like the more fun life is. And I've said this in many podcasts, but it's just top of my mind. I think it's so important. And this is straight from Tony Robbins. And he said, um, achievement without fulfillment is the greatest failure ever. Which means that if you can't be happy for the things you've achieved, you can't be fulfilled by it, then like what's the point? Like if you're like, oh, I only lost 10 pounds, it's like, was that 10 pounds more than you lost last month? Okay, then why haven't you give yourself credit for that? Why is that a negative thing? So like if you did lose 10 pounds, is that negative too? So then how do you win? If you can't win, then why are you playing the game? No one wants to play a game they can't win. And that's why people, unfortunately, don't like health and fitness, or they don't like making money, or they don't like meeting new people, because everything they do is a loss. They don't know how to win. It's because they don't set themselves up to win, and they don't give themselves permission to win. That's actually what it is. They don't give themselves permission to say, you know what? I'm proud of me. I like me. I'm happy, right? When you're able to give yourself permission to do those things, it becomes a lot more fun, right? Where if you have these, and people are like, well, I have high expectations. No, what you do is you're an idiot. Like, and I don't mean to say mean, like, I really don't mean to be mean, but like, you're an idiot in the standpoint of like, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to win. And that is what being smart is setting yourself up to win every single day. And that's by celebrating every little step. Every one does count. It really does. And when you're like, well, last month or last week or last time I did this, I did more. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter. But what you're doing is you're moving forward right now. And the only thing that matters is right now, because you can't control the past. You can't predict the future. What you can't control is the present. And when you're living in the present, you understand that everything you do is moving towards your goals. It's helping you, right? And this last little thing is like when you do have obstacles, you do have things that are that can be labeled as setbacks. Like they're just lessons, right? They're just lessons along the way. And the more you embrace those things, you embrace those lessons. Now all of a sudden you have wisdom, you have knowledge. Right. And that, my friends, actually is the most important thing. Like I'll talk to you about this, but like my belief is that wisdom is the goal in life, right? Like experience and wisdom and being able to share that with the world and contribute that to the world. Like that's actually what is important. Like me growing, me getting to a goal, like sure, it makes me feel happy for a moment, but where I truly get fulfillment is when I'm able to share that with John, share that with Juan, share that with my wife, share it with strangers I don't even know who just randomly message me. Like that's what's exciting to me, right? So I'm able to share that knowledge. And I only get that from making a lot of freaking mistakes. That's it. The only reason that I'm in better shape than most people is because I fucked up more than most people. Like I've gone through way more challenges, way more pain than they have. I promise you, right? That is it. I've battled the and challenge, or I've overcame challenges that most people will just quit at. That's it. That's the only difference between me and them. I'm not any smarter. I'm not any more like any more than anything, rather than I've just overcame more than most people. That is it. And so the only way I'm able to do that is like, number one, looking at things like lessons and wisdom and understanding that like the more mistakes I make, I don't like making mistakes, but I'm able to reframe them so I can use them as a blessing, as a positive thing, as a way to continue to motivate me and continue to share with you guys, or with anybody who's listening, or anybody who wants more information, or who wants to actually continue to better themselves, that they can now use my mistakes as a way for them to springboard their lives, continue to grow. So Juan, with that being said, tell me, like, what are your kind of thoughts on this idea of like celebrating every bit of progress? And then obviously even the flip side of that, how do you view setbacks?
Yeah. I think celebrating, your wins are super important. And I think people do a good job of minimizing their wins, and like I'm guilty of that as well. And so something that I've started to implement, and that I definitely share with others as well, is, like you said, we have a big goal in mind, but setting little milestones. That way we have spots where we are going to celebrate, and then getting into a habit of, yes, celebrating every pounds, but maybe we'll set like a 5-pound milestone or whatever it is, even if it's not weight loss related, just having places where you can say, I made it here. I'm that much closer to my big goal, having micro goals that are going to add up, because really no big goal is just attained in one giant step. It's a ton of little steps. And so learning to recognize those little steps and realizing and having like the maturity and the patience to realize that those are the steps that are getting you closer. Those little wins are the ones that matter. The big win's going to happen as a result of all those little wins. And so celebrating that, realizing that they are valuable instead of like minimizing them and just pushing them to the side. So, I mean, definitely is good for, you know, like a morale booster, keeps you going, like having that awareness that this is getting you close to your goal, and just, and if anything, magnifying it. But as far as setbacks, I think I like the way this is worded. It says, look for the lessons in the obstacles. So actively look for the lessons that you can learn, because it's easy to hit a wall in chasing your goal and decide that, oh, this didn't work, or I can't do it, or I'm not good enough. And those kind of decisions are made just more subconsciously. And so actively look for a lesson that's going to benefit you, I think is what I would kind of throw in there. Actively look for a lesson that's going to get you closer to the person that you want to be, get you closer to your goal. It's easy to learn a lesson. You can, it's a false lesson. You can decide that you weren't good enough to reach your goal, or you can be positive and say, hey, you know, I learned that this didn't work for me. So now I'm going to continue forward and find something else that does. And, you know, and that comes down to like failure only exists if you quit or if you stop trying. And so I think that's the important part, is actively looking for a lesson that is going to benefit you in reaching your goal. That way it's not an end to your goal once you see a setback or once you see an obstacle. It's just a means of getting you closer, something that could benefit you.
And when you give those two scenarios, right, you have the person who like, they can learn the lesson of like, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve this. Or there's like, you know what? They take in like, here, you know, here's what I learned from this lesson. I realized that, you know, that this piece didn't work, but you know what, because this didn't work, it has to be one of these two pieces. So you know what, I think I'm onto something. Like if you were to have those two types of people literally saying they face the same exact challenge, like which one do you think is going to be more successful, Juan?
Yeah, of course, the one who's going to take what's working for them and go with that.
Right. And so it's easy. It's easy for us to say that when we look at it from third party. Right. And so the biggest problem is that we as human beings, like we're very emotional. And so like our emotions like get in the way of us making logical decisions. And so anytime you're actually facing a decision like this, we have this concept called stimulus and response. Right. So we have a stimulus, which is like, let's call the stimulus the setback. And then we want to respond. So our immediate response most likely is going to be a knee jerk. Like we want to respond in the way of like, option A, person like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worried that maybe this isn't for me, right? But when we're able to extend that response time to start to think about it from a more like, how do we learn the lesson? Then we can actually make this decision whether we want to be option A or whether we want to be person B. And I think that's ultimately what this is really about, is giving yourself some space between like when stuff happens before you make a decision about yourself. You make a decision about what you should do. Give a little bit of time, give a little bit of space. Seem like, okay. And even if you can, even better, like think about yourself in a third person, or like, how would I coach this person? Then you're able to even make you even able to remove yourself even a little bit more from the situation. And like, you know what? If I was person A or person B, and I said that person A was like, I can't do it, and person B said, I'm going to figure out how to do it. Like, which person I want to be? Okay, so now I'm going to start thinking like this person, and then all of a sudden it makes the decision process really easy, right? And so just have that separate, like have that distance between stimulus and response before you actually make your response happen. John, give me your thoughts on this one.
So this one actually speaks to me pretty loudly, because celebration of wins is something that I do practice, but it's not really something that I'm feeling yet. And I feel that it's my biggest opportunity right now to focus on every win, every lesson, whether it's pounds lost because I am on a cut, every dollar earned. I have financial goals. I'm looking to always improve my relationship with my wife. Like, these are things that, in order for me to succeed at my overall goals, I have to be willing to feel good about what I'm doing now. Because if I don't, then even if I'm doing the right things, eventually I'll stop doing the right things because it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. But that's my choice, whether it feels good or not. And so it goes back to Tony Robbins of achievement without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Even if you are looking to achieve something great, you still have to look at the achievements that you have along the way, or else you aren't fulfilled. And going back to what you said at the beginning, Logan, is getting to a certain weight, getting abs, like those things will not fulfill you. So the only way to feel fulfilled is to look for that fulfillment in every little step along the way, because you understand that it's bringing you somewhere better, even if that somewhere better isn't inherently what gives you that happiness, that fulfillment.
Yeah, and the reason why that's so important is because like the achievement part is a piece of it. It's like getting abs, losing the weight, that part's the achievement. But if you don't realize that like that's not what you're going to be fulfilled by, all of a sudden you get there and all of a sudden you feel empty. Like how many times have you reached a goal? You're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. It's because we were so focused on achievement, we weren't able to like understand that it's not about the actual goal, but it's about the person we become in the process, about the growth, about the process, about the people, it's about the challenge, about the overcoming, and ultimately it's about like it's about the wisdom, it's about the power, the personal power that we grew and that we have proven to ourselves that we did something that we have never done before, right? And that's the where the fulfillment comes from, and that's why if you look at some of them, like you look at really successful people. And even like really wealthy people, and they're like, wow, that person's still not happy. Like they have all the money in the world, they're still not happy, right? Robin Williams is another example that at the Tony Robbins used. Like the guy was like arguably one of the most popular comedians, had been, obviously like came up in the ranks, like literally like came from nothing, came up the ranks to the comedy tour, all the way into shows, eventually to TV. Like people love that guy. Like did people like think about like how people love Robin Williams? Like so many people, right? But there was one person who didn't love him, and that was himself. Like he didn't like himself, right? And he ended up committing suicide. And like it's crazy to think that way, but like ultimately, like we are in control of our own perception. It doesn't matter how people love us. If we don't get fulfillment from what we do, it doesn't matter, right? And ultimately, like we won't be on this planet to help to serve more people if we don't like ourselves. And that means like if you're not happy with what you're doing, you're not happy with being in shape, ultimately like you'll get out of shape because you're not fulfilled by it, right? And I think it's really important to understand that, find that fulfillment in everything that you do. Otherwise, it's just temporary. All right, and so let's talk about this. There's 4 of the 9 laws of conscious creation that are that play a role in this acting as if your goal reality. Okay, so you have the law of faith, the law of attraction, the law of alignment, the law of choice and accountability. And so the law of faith basically is just you must believe your breakthrough goal before you can manifest it. The law of attraction just says believing as if your breakthrough goal reality broadcasts a strong signal to the universe. The law of alignment says everything you think, say, and do must be in alignment with what you want to manifest. And the law of choice and accountability says own your life and your choices, perceive all evidence that everything is going your way. Choose into your breakthrough goal. So this is basically a summarization of all the laws that basically take for you to act as if your goal reality. And so, John, I'll let you do this one off here. With all 4 of these laws, obviously they all kind of intermingle together. But tell me, like, how do you see all these laws playing in somebody being able to manifest their goals before they even actually become maybe a physical reality?
Well, to start, when I first started doing belief breakthroughs, they were good, they were helpful. But when I needed to upgrade them, the first thing I did is start to visualize every single new belief. And a lot of times my higher self is something that I visualize, like, okay, who is this best version of me? What does he do? What would he do? And how do I become it? And so that's sort of the foundation for it all is the visualization of it. And then that's where you can act on faith, because until you see it, got to see it to believe it. That's what a lot of people say. And so visualize it first and then believe it. So once you believe it, like you're going to act in that way, or at least you have the higher potential to do so. But in order to continue acting that way and continue to believe in it, you have to treat it as a reality, right? With the law of attraction, say, okay, not only is it possible, but I'm choosing it to be real right now. And that's something that with the visualization of my higher self, for example, if there's a task I needed to complete that I didn't feel like I could, felt overwhelming, say, okay, what would my higher self do right now? going to do that. And that's the attraction, basically, because I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, this is possible. I know that it is. I believe that it is. And I'm going to attract that behavior into my life. And of course, with alignment, like if you're not acting in as though you believe it, as though it's already true, then it's just not going to happen. So, and you're going to feel very incongruent with yourself and unhappy because you have this goal over here that all of a sudden you're not even taking steps towards anymore, even if you believe that is possible. So pay attention to your actions as well, and your words. Your word choice is very important too. And doing that in combination with believing it, acting on it, attracting it is super important. And then that really goes into choice and accountability as well, is not only do you need to do the things that are going to get you closer and back up that you believe what you're doing, but you also get the choice to say like, okay, this is a good outcome, no matter what that outcome is, because I know that I did the right thing, or I know that I did the wrong thing, and I know that now I can do the right thing next time. And that's where that choice is. It's accountability too, but to me, that's really choice of like, what's the win? How can I be happy about this? And choosing that takes some guts to choose that every time, because it's not easy. But that's really what it comes down to, is choosing to believe, choosing to attract, choosing to act in ways that are actually in line with what you want.
Yeah. One of the mantras I talk about a lot, and I wear it on my wrist, and I say, everything goes my way. And so anytime I start to feel like man, like I kind of feel like I got thrown off a little bit, I literally just say, everything goes my way. And it just helps me reframe. It's like, okay, like this happened for a reason. This is a good thing, right? And then it's for me to just find the evidence of why this is a good thing, why this is helping me get to what my goals are. And I think it's super powerful when you're able to frame that. It's like, everything goes my way. It's like, and it's actually really freeing. And so I like to use it in a situation where I'm faced with a conflict. I also like to do it where I'm anticipating facing a conflict, or I'm in anticipation of something. Like, everything goes my way. I'm like, oh, no matter what happens, like it's going to go my way, right? Like, regardless. And I think that's super powerful too. So a lot of times we live in fear of the future, right? And we live in regret in the past. And the cool part about that mantra is it actually takes care of both those things. Just it gives you peace of like, you know what, that happened for a reason in the past. And you know what, if that happens in the future, it's going to be a positive, because you know what, I make the choice to make it positive. And so all of a sudden that fear goes away. I think that, and the fear, I think, is one of the biggest things that hold people back from doing anything. Juan, finish us out here.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of brush over. I don't want to give you a repeat of what John said here. He had a lot of good points there, but I like the order that these are written in. So the law of faith, followed by the law of attraction, followed by the law of alignment. And then I think that the law of choice and accountability kind of applies to them all. Mm-hmm. But I think if you start at the law of faith and you're able to execute on the law of faith, to believe in that, to practice that law in your life, and it's actually going to carry over into the law of attraction. So it's sort of the foundation, I guess. And the law of faith is believing that your goal is possible before you manifest it, and before, really believing in that, really having your emotions behind it, not just a logical thing. Take the time to like feel that goal is going to allow you to carry over into the law of attraction, and experience it as if it were a reality now, right? And that's going to be what's going to bring those situations into your life. You're going to start noticing those situations that are going to get you closer to your goal, that are going to give you the opportunity to practice the law of alignment. And I think that that's the big one. It's like you think that it's all going to be like just handed to you. I think a lot of it comes in the form of opportunity. So you believe in your goal, you practice your visualization, you practice the law of attraction. And I think a lot of times that you're going to start noticing opportunities and situations that are going to give you the choices, the opportunity to choose which direction you're going to go. So that's when you really have to be accountable to yourself and to your goal, and make the decisions that are going to reflect the outcome that you want. So that's going to be to say that, okay, maybe like there's no temptation in your life right now, but you want to reach this weight loss goal and you're spending time manifesting this. And maybe you're going to be faced with an opportunity to make the wrong decision, or a decision that goes against the outcome that you want to make. Maybe those opportunities are, maybe those temptation moments are really just opportunities for you to strengthen your conviction, strengthen your ability in getting you to where you want to be. Because a fit person or someone who is where they want to be with their health and fitness, I can guarantee that they have a better way of handling those situations than somebody who is just getting started. But the thing is they both at some point were just getting started, and that person who's fit had to go through all those little moments and get past those moments and learn how to cope with those moments before they can get to where they want to be. And so I think they all perpetuate each other. And I think the law of choice and accountability really applies to all of them, because once you align yourself, you might be faced with opportunities to go off task, to go away from your goal. But again, it's a choice. And so you can either choose to go the easy route or choose the route that is new to you and use that as a growing opportunity that's going to allow you to strengthen your conviction and your belief in your goal. But yeah, that's pretty much what I see about that. I think they all require making proper choices and definitely being accountable to yourself and your goal.
Yeah. And if you're out there and you're not making progress towards your goal, like look at one of these 4 areas. It's definitely found one of these 4 areas that you're not taking responsibility for, you're not focusing on. Because if you focus on all 4 of these things, like you will feel pretty confident that you're going to get to your goal because you're believing it, you're seeing it, you're doing the thing you need to do, and you're taking responsibility for your choices. So like look at those 4 things in your life and like which one are you the strongest at, which one are you the weakest at, and then when you understand which one you're the weakest at, then what steps do you need to take to make that become one of your strengths. And that's how you literally make anything that you want to become a reality, is just understanding like what you're strong at and what you're weak at, and then making that weakness make it one of your strengths. That's really all you got to do. So that is it. That is our the step number 3 for manifesting if you want. So if you haven't watched the first 2 episodes, we talk about clearly defining what you want, super important, and then taking bold action. Those are the first 2 steps in this. The third one is like acting as if your goal were already reality. This is step 3. Next week, we come back with step 4. And this is literally like a 5-part series on how you can achieve anything you want. Obviously, we're breaking these down individually into little subsections, but it's the part of a greater whole of literally accomplishing anything you want in life, which is like super powerful, right? Because ultimately, again, we want to achieve things. We're also going to need to learn how to be fulfilled in that process. So John, Juan, I appreciate you guys for hopping on here today and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with the people out there. We'll be back next week for step 4. So happy Wednesday or whatever day it is you're watching this. I'm Logan Manzanares, and we're out. Bye.
Yeah.
Later.